Hi folks, we have another new game here from Worthington because we got a boatload of them again the other day. Why am I saying a boatload? Because what's on the cover there, Miss Katie?
414 BC, Siege of Syracuse.
And are those trimeres Greek ships?
I suppose so.
Nod your head and say yes.
They look like Vikings.
Okay, well, close enough. So that means, and actually all the games that we got are from the State of Siege series. And we got 1565 Malta, and we got this, and we got Malta in World War II, and we got Quebec in 1759, and they all center around what it's going to do later here. Rain, water. So, new game. I sent Miss Katie up to find a book on the Peloponnesian War upstairs. We couldn't find that one, but we found a second one. So, when you move, you sometimes lose books. And this may have been lost actually to our pastor friend who died last year, that we may have loaned it to him because he had an interest at that time in the Peloponnesian War. But, new game from Worthington. Doesn't feel particularly heavy, does it?
No, it felt worse.
Yeah, it feels about normal. So, we've started reading some more on the Peloponnesian War about a sleazy character called, I gotta look his name up, Alcibiades. But, of course, so we know the way I pronounce things. I take many things to the slaughterhouse, so. But he's an interesting character. We'll talk some more about him. So, the next thing that we always do for everybody, we say bye-byes. Hey folks, it is Sunday, and I'm actually going to sit down for the moment because I normally prefer to stand, but also I realized that the pod I got operated on was saying, Smitty, why don't you sit down? 414 BC, epic siege defines the Peloponnesian War. Athens at Syracuse. Syracuse, of course, is in Sicily and is the defining moment of the Peloponnesian War. This is by Worthington Games. It's part of their State of Siege series, and let's, of course, unbox it. We have a rule book. The rule book is 12 pages. I've skimmed the history, which is pretty much 2 pages. It's not a bad history. It is a colorful, it would help if I would keep it up, a colorful and well illustrated set of rules, and of course we will look at this in greater detail. You have the battle tablet. The battle tablet is a record for you to keep the number of games that you played. Were they 2-player, were they solitaire, and the results. Kind of a neat little thing to include in there versus me finding notes from 1973 of games that I played on pieces of often height lighting from Burnham, Pennsylvania. Now the State of Siege book centers around orders. We have 2 sets of orders in the game. We have the Syracusan, which I have not picked out yet, and we have the Athenian. And of course on back of these you have the sequence of play. On the Syracusan you have the solitaire play. The order books give you your various types of orders, your order execution, your order restrictions, and the map. And they tell you then the results. Pretty simple, makes it easy for the solitaire player. Now, let's go to the map. And it's not a paper map, which means it's a mounted map. And we like mounted maps. We always like mounted maps. Miss Katie will tell you that perhaps if she passed, I would turn her into a mounted map because I would always have her nearby on the game table. Small map, I like the muted tones, and don't be surprised if you see Stumpy jump up on the table because she's in here. That's Daphne. Daphne's our youngest kitten, and she's kind of tooling around in here. But of course, you got here the it is the morale chart and the various boxes where things can go. Things as in counters, actually are wooden blocks. I like the muted colors here, and of course you've got where ships can go, because this is also a naval battle until Syracuse build a boom across the way. Now, plastic tray with cover. We have game pieces to include walls. Of course, and you know, we will be looking at this all closer. We then have more game pieces, the other side, which would be the Athenians. And then we have, of course, for our friend Sam K, we have baggies. And then we have two sets of cards. We have the set of cards for solitaire play, and we have a set of cards for the game. Two sets of cards. And if I had my glasses on, I would read one of them to you. But as an example, we have command conflict. Cancel order issued, because there was a great deal of back and forth in the command structure, particularly the Athenian command structure. There was a great deal of issues. So, we'll see how this one plays. Supposedly this takes 60 to 90 minutes to play, which means it will take me at least 2 hours to play. Because between writing notes, taking pictures, and just because I tend to take a while to play and look at the map and do things. And as always, we talk about books to you folks, because it gives you some other feel for it. First is Victor David Hansen's A War Like No Other. This was really a war between Athens and Sparta, although each side had strong proxies. Hansen is, I think, the best modern Greek era historian for that period of Greece. Good book. I own it. I've read it. Highly recommend it. There's also Kagan's The Peloponnesian War, which is a little bit more of a snore. I've read it, and it is currently not in my collection, so that tells you something. Did we lose it? Did we loan it out? I think I loaned it out to our pastor friend who passed. So, then there is a new book by David Studdard called Nemesis. This is on the man of the age who lived with the other man of the age, Pericles. Of course, Pericles died during the plague in Athens, and had Pericles survived, maybe the Peloponnesian War wouldn't have happened that way. But his prodigy, and this is Alcibiades, well, pick a year during the Peloponnesian War and see which side he's on. Here, he's on the Athenian side after for a while not being on the Athenian side, although he's Athenian. He was a very slippery guy. And at the end was assassinated by, was it Athenians? Was it Medes? Was it Spartans? Was it just folks who had got tired of him? But this is a very good book so far, very lively, maybe a little more lively than what some folks would expect from David Stoddard, but it puts into perspective this era, and particularly the era after the Greeks defeated the Persians. And because that area right there, the Peloponnesian War happened. Well, why did it happen? Because there were great underlying tensions between Sparta and Athens, and this book sets it out nicely using this gentleman as a foil. So, we thank Worthington as always for the games. We will get to a review of it shortly. I've got a North African game underneath here first I want to play because I'm kind of on a North African kick, which never happens. So, as always, folks, we thank you. Have a blessed day, and pray for us to get more rain because our lawn could use some more rain. And, of course, here's Blackman version 2.0. Thanks, folks. Bye.
All right, folks. We got Fuzz in here helping us. We have Bandit in here helping us. We have Holly Jolly Collie in the hall helping us. And here we have, well, we have stuff on the table. The Syracuse game, and here you've got it all laid out on the table in front of you. So let's start looking at things individually. First, as we noted yesterday, we have the wood blocks. More wood blocks, and of course the walls, and of course ships. But what's nice, substantive enough, meets my thing, the rule book. Okay, now we back out from a little bit. It's a 12-page rule book. Anything I will fuss about here, and I'm not even going to fuss about that, it's a matter of opinion. Stoddard, in the book we were talking about yesterday on Alcibiades, argues that he may not be quite as good as history has judged him to be. Well, you know, it is what it is. But let's first talk about cards. There are, you see here, multiple cards. There are first the 2-player cards for the game. You can see, nicely set up, 2 players. Then there are for this solitaire, it is broken into phase 1 and phase 2. You can tell because the Spartans show up to take control of the forces of Syracuse. So, easy to read. I kind of like what do I want to call it? The texture on this and a little bit of fuzziness. Rather than have it be slick, I like the texture. Okay, same with these. We look at various pictures on them. A hoplite line, naval warfare, an eclipse, because those things in much of the world threw folks into a tizzy. Truce cards. Wow, we ran into a lot of truce cards all at once, didn't we? Bad weather. So, leader cards in the game. Here's one. Not one of the better Athenian leaders of all time. Didn't do a stellar job here. And he and Alcibiades were also bitter enemies. Imagine that. He does as poor of a job here as could be done. Now, we have other cards. You have the order cards. Each side has a set of order cards you can see here. And then you have the counter order cards for gameplay. All in all, nicely set up. Can't complain. And again, textured. I think the cards will hold up to repetitive play. I've shuffled them a couple times, and they work well that way. Okay, the game map. You see the walls, counter walls, where ships can be put, the blockade, damaged ships, and of course the morale chart, much like in the Quebec game. Okay, and you know, this is, look how well it folds out. This has not been folded out and pushed down by me and de-stressed or such. This is second time out of the box. So Then, of course, we have the orders cards. You have the Syracusan, you have the Athenian. Again, much alike, same order, but they are different because here you look, it is a 2-1-1-1-1. We go to the Syracusan, it is a 2 or a Charlie, 2-1-1-1-1. So there is some difference in the cards. They are not mirror images of each other, and I'll be interested to see how that works out in play. The Athenian one has the 2-player sequence of play. The Syracusan one has the solitaire sequence of play with the cards order of play or sequential play for that. We talked yesterday also about the battle tablet. I'm thinking, well, what's the battle tablet? Is this tablet you think of in the ancient world as something to record things? Well, guess what? Same thing here. Is it solitaire, 2-player, card deck strength, Athenian, Syracusan victory, final morale, Athenian wall sections completed. It's kind of a nice aspect. I like that they do this with some of their games. It makes it easier for me rather than, as I noted yesterday, my habit of sticking in 5x8 cards or random pieces of paper to do that. So, there you have it. Oh, I should also mention the box. Okay, notice we're stressing the box some. Good sturdy box. I expect to see a cat in it later, so. And of course, the rule book again. As always, folks, we thank you. We look forward to this, and thank you to Worthington Games.